Between 1977 and 1993, 6 women were found strangled in quiet spots across Kansas City, Missouri. But no, this isn't about Henry Wallace or Anthony Sowell. We've already told their stories. This one is completely different. For many years, no one knew the truth until DNA tech caught up. Unlike the others, this killer stayed free for decades and still says he's innocent, even though DNA ties him to the crimes. When asked, he replied, "I don't believe I'm innocent. I know I am." His coworker said he always helped out, worked with a smile, and never made a fuss. But we've heard that before. Kind, quiet people hiding dark secrets. In case after case, one thing stands out. They picked weak, at-risk women. Why? Because even back then, they knew a sad truth. When women disappeared, no one rushed to help. This case proves that point. It started with 17-year-old Stacy L. Swafford, who ran away from home and was living on Kansas City's streets. On April 17, 1977, her body was found face down in a field. The autopsy confirmed she was strangled. Her mom, Georgian, never got over it. She died from alcohol poisoning, still hoping to meet her daughter in heaven. Then came the youngest, just 15, found on January 23, 1980. She was tied with wire around her neck and wrists. She had been working as a sex worker. Her dad had reported her missing one day before, though he hadn't seen her in over a week. Cause of death: strangulation. Margaret J. Miller, age 17, was found on May 9, 1982, in a field by a teen walking to his grandma's house. She worked on Troost Avenue. Her things were missing. She was strangled. Catherine M. Berry didn't work the streets. She struggled with mental illness after her third baby. On March 14, 1986, her body was found in an old building, leaves covering her, with nylon around her neck, strangled. Naomi Kelly, a 23-year-old mom of 2, had been taking business classes. On August 16, 1986, she was found in a rundown park, a towel tied around her neck. Cause of death: strangled. Debbie Blevins, 32, was found on November 27, 1986, wearing only pink socks. Her body was left outside a church. She had fallen into addiction and left behind a 9-year-old daughter. Ann Barnes, 36, was found near downtown Kansas City on April 17, 1987. Exactly 10 years after Stacy. She was a housekeeper and dancer, and also engaged in sex work. Cause of death: strangulation. Kelly A. Ford, 20, moved to Kansas City after high school. On June 9, 1987, her body was found in Roanoke Park. She had also been strangled. Angela M. Mayhew, 19, was found on September 12, 1987. Her body was face down near the road. Police later found hairs on her sweater that linked her to the other victims. Sheila Ingold, 36, was found inside a van outside a repair shop on November 3, 1987. Her rings were missing. She had been strangled. Carmeline R. Hibbs, 30, was found in a parking lot on December 19, 1987. Like the rest, she had been strangled. Condi Luther, 29, was found on a snowbank on January 11, 1993. A shoelace was around her neck. She was one of 5 kids raised by a single mom who had died the year before. Woman after woman was attacked, strangled, and left to die. The clues were obvious, but police didn't connect the cases. And if you think that's bad, there's more. The man behind it all was arrested several times for violence, but every time, he was let go. If the justice system had done its job, these women might still be alive. But it didn't. The man was Lorenzo Gilliard, the trash collector strangler. What's most chilling is this: Lorenzo wasn't some creepy stranger. He was a garbage man who got promoted. He had a stable job, a friendly face, and a solid reputation. That's what makes this story terrifying. Because dangerous people often don't hide in the dark, they blend in. Lorenzo was born in Kansas City, Missouri, one of 5 kids. Even as a boy, his anger showed. He played sports but was bigger than the others and picked on smaller kids. He skipped school, got bad grades, and dropped out before 10th grade. In the 60s, he met Rena Hill. They started dating, and when she got pregnant, they married on November 20, 1968. But marriage didn't stop Lorenzo's violent ways. In 1969, he was arrested for attacking a girl he knew, but got out after she withdrew her statement. No charges stuck. It didn't end there. Lorenzo's family had issues too. In 1970, his dad, Lorenzo Sr., was convicted of rape. In 1972, Lorenzo Jr. was accused again, this time of choking a woman unconscious. She picked him in a lineup, but police dropped the case. That mistake had lasting effects. In 1973, his violence came home. He was arrested for attacking his wife, who told police he had abused her throughout their marriage. But as often happened to black women, no real justice came. He got a fine and a divorce. That's all. In 1974, he attacked a 25-year-old dancer. She ID'd him, but again, the charges were dropped thanks to a reconciliation deal. 5 months later, he hurt a 13-year-old girl, the daughter of a friend. But when she changed her story, the case was dropped. He was found guilty of a lesser crime and got just 9 months in jail. 9 months. That's all. After that, he got married again. But like before, it didn't last. His second wife said the same thing. He was violent and cruel. Then he married a third woman in the late 70s. Despite everything, he convinced another woman to marry him. In 1979, he struck again, this time assaulting a young couple. He threatened to kill the woman's fiancé. They both identified him. But in 1980, the jury let him go due to lack of proof. Soon after, he was arrested again for assaulting his third wife. Again, just a fine and divorce. Then came 1981. He attacked his ex-wife twice, once knocking out her front teeth, the next time stabbing her in the hand. He was only charged with third-degree assault. The punishment: just probation. In 1991, he was arrested for theft. He paid $3,500 bail and walked free again. Finally, he got 4 years, but not for violence or murder, for breaking probation. All those women he hurt, and what sent him to prison. A probation violation. And the horror didn't stop with him. His sister, Patricia Dixon, was convicted in 1983 for killing a client while working as a prostitute. She got 11 years. On January 10, 1983, Lorenzo got out of prison, but was arrested again soon after in Kansas for making bomb threats. That didn't keep him locked up either. By 1985, he was free again. In 1986, he got a job as a trash collector at Deffenbaugh Disposal, where his dad worked. He lived an ordinary life, or so it looked. But the past didn't stay buried. On December 23, 1987, he was arrested as a suspect in Sheila Ingold's murder. Police took his blood, hoping for a match. But again, there wasn't enough proof to keep him in jail. He walked. By 1991, he was married a fourth time and even got promoted to supervisor, managing several routes around the city. But karma has its way. In July 1996, a neighbor accused him of sexual harassment going back to September 1995. Still, no charges. She was the one who had to move away, while he stayed. That's how the world works sometimes. When justice fails, victims are left to fend for themselves. Then, suddenly, he seemed to go quiet. From 1993 on, no new crimes were linked to him. People started speaking well of him. But in 2001, Kansas City police got a federal grant to retest old cases with DNA. That's when things unraveled. Lorenzo's blood sample from 1987 was tested again. This time, it worked. He was tied to 6 murders, including the one he had been questioned about years earlier. And more than that, other evidence tied him to 6 more killings. That's 12 women, maybe more. All strangled with shoelaces, wire, or stockings. Their bodies left in parks, lots, buildings, vans, and snowbanks, tossed aside like they were nothing. Despite the similarities, no one ever said out loud that a serial killer was on the loose. Why? Because of who the women were. Most were sex workers, people society ignored. Their deaths barely got news coverage. Their stories lost. Some weren't even reported missing. But in 2006, another case surfaced. DNA tied him to the murder of Helga Kruger, a 26-year-old immigrant. Her death was just like the others. A towel around her neck. The pattern was clear, yet no one saw it. Why? Because they didn't care. These women were forgotten. They weren't rich. They didn't have family looking for them. And that made them easy targets for a man like Lorenzo. It wasn't until January 2007 that things changed. His lawyers made a deal. He'd waive his right to a jury trial, and in return, they wouldn't seek the death penalty. The trial began March 5th. Prosecutors used DNA to link him to multiple victims. The proof was solid. But Lorenzo never confessed. All the women had something in common. Strangled, shoes missing, found alone, likely assaulted. A clear pattern. But Lorenzo still claimed he'd never met them. Even with DNA evidence, he denied it. When every woman you're with ends up dead, and your DNA is on them, how do you keep saying you're innocent? Maybe he thought he could get away with it again. But this time, it didn't work. On March 17, 2007, after 12 days, he was convicted of 6 murders and got life without parole. He was found guilty of killing Catherine Barry, Naomi Kelly, Ann Barnes, Kelly Ford, Sheila Ingold, and Carmeline Hibbs. While more victims were suspected, they didn't have enough evidence to convict him for all. Still, everyone knew the truth. He'd killed many more. Lorenzo became one of Missouri's most active serial killers, yet few know his name. In 2018, he appeared on TV when British host Piers Morgan visited him in prison. Morgan asked if he really expected people to believe his story. Lorenzo didn't answer. He ripped off his mic and stormed out. Even now, in his 70s, locked away, he still won't admit guilt. When asked what his defense was in court, he had no answer. Piers asked, "Do you think I'm dumb?" Lorenzo walked away. This case is a harsh reminder of what happens when society turns its back. These women were left alone in life and ignored in death. That's why we must say their names and tell their stories, so they aren't forgotten, and justice isn't erased. What do you think? Did the police fail these women? Should they have caught him sooner? Let us know. And if you want to see more deep dives like this, hit that like button and subscribe.